All right, we're live.
We're live.
We're here. Live
Hey.
from Redhook here at the Function House.
Share it for me.
Live, that's live TV, folks, for you. Tonight, we want to welcome everybody back. We have two very special guests. We have a returning guest with Mr. Mike Delgado. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And Mike brought
again.
a guest with him tonight, Mr. Brian Powers. Welcome to Live from Redhook here at the Function House.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're happy to have you. How's it going?
Very good.
You enjoying this weather?
No. No, I brought the sun with me and I'm leaving with the rain. So
How long are you in town for?
I arrived Thursday night and I go tomorrow night.
What exactly are you doing here? You working on music?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be in the studio with Mike. So I've been having lots of fun.
So you're from the UK.
Yep.
How did you link up with Mike?
I heard a track of his a couple of years ago called Bourbon's Revenge.
Yep.
And anybody that knows anything about me would know that I'm heavily into uplifting, gospel, soulful music, strong on lyrics. I write tracks. And that was the first track that really got me. So I said to myself mentally in my head, because I hadn't wrote no tracks at the time, that when I do something, I'm going to get in touch with him because I'd love to do something. I know there's something about him.
So how many emails did he ignore of yours?
None, he answered straight away.
Really?
Yeah, it was Facebook, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Facebook.
Yeah, it's
Well,
Facebook.
Mike's
No,
a
no,
good
no.
guy, man.
Good guy.
Yeah.
Good guy.
He
Yeah,
definitely is.
That's
You
cool.
feel
man.
the vibes from Mike.
Yeah.
Good people.
So you emailed him. You sent him a message on
So
Facebook.
basically, what I'd done was, ever since I was 18 years of age, there's a track by Jeffrey Osborne. If I take you back to when I was younger, I was very fortunate that black soul music in London, there was mods and rockers, and there was like all that scene, and I sort of got into the sort of soul scene with the black people. So from a very young age, I've been soulful. It's part of what I grew up with, and I knew that the music that was being made, there was a whole section of the country that was missing it for whatever reasons. They was missing it. So in my mind, I didn't know, but I was sort of plotting that if I ever got involved in music, that I'd like to give some of it back. So it's quite funny really. I jump all over the place, by the way, but that's just what happens.
That's fine.
I'm a property developer, and I'm doing a development at the moment, and I've ended up working with the kid I left college with. So when I remixed this first track, he actually messaged me on Facebook and went, "Brian, that's the effing track that you used to play all day, every day in the car, and you wouldn't play nothing else."
So you stuck to your word.
I stuck to my word.
Yeah,
I stuck
yeah.
to my word, and I done the remix, and I sent it off to Mike, and he just really done it justice.
So what I find very interesting about you is that you started DJing recently.
Yeah.
So like you come up here on the show and you would think that this guy has been DJing for 20 years, you know, and now he's only in the game 5 years. It's very interesting.
But I've been involved in the music scene. I was a promoter back in the 80s, like early 90s. I've been around music. I've loved music. It's funny enough, I was talking to a 70-year-old today who's been involved in music since the 60s. He started with the Drifters and all that. I was over in Detroit. And it's funny how you work things out. Like I wasn't a very confident child, right? So I got involved in drugs. I've done all kinds of stupid things. But the one thing that was always a common thread, what gave me confidence, was if good music was playing, no matter what was happening, I'd go to the dance floor and I'd dance. And if there was no one on the dance floor, I'd go there and I'd dance. So the music actually brought me through.
It's kind of what you do now.
It's true.
What, dance by himself?
By himself. You got, yeah, we went in Ibiza. We were like, I mean, it was just a great time out there. And you know, they have this big movement going. It's called My Soul, and they have like a lot of members, and it's just a great movement. And it's old school people, new school people, and it's just, I mean, it's been a while since I've gone away and played house records where everybody in the crowd knew every word of every song. And you know, that was just,
So how good
that's the 90s. That's the way the 90s
How
were.
good was that feeling when you were
Oh man,
DJing?
it was just incredible, man. It was incredible.
And this was
It's like-
recent, right?
Yeah, we just got back from Ibiza like
Month ago.
a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
How long were you out there for?
like a week, 6
Yeah,
days, something like
it's a
that.
week,
Yeah, but so he put this, you know, with other people, not just him, but they got this movement going, and it's just, you know, if you follow their page, they're getting like 100 people a week joining this movement, and they're doing parties. They got a big Christmas party at Ministry of Sound in December coming up, and I mean they're just doing big things. And
What's the name of this movement?
It's a radio station called My Soul.
Okay.
And basically what happened was there was a station in London called Kiss FM, and it was a pirate station, and Gordon Mack is the founder, and he took it from pirate station through to PLC and sold it to EMAP, which is, you know, and sold it for multi-millions.
Yeah.
But what they done was they made it like, they sanitised it, they made it like every other radio station, and it just lost its soul. And Gordon went off and done what he'd done. And then about 5 years ago, he looked around, and all the kids that were 18 and 20 that had that love and that passion, there was nothing for them.
Right.
So he wanted to call it iSoul, but IKEA weren't having none of it. An iPhone
Oh,
weren't
yeah,
having none
Apple,
of
I'm
it.
sure
Apple
Apple loved
iPhone
that,
weren't
yeah.
having none of it. So they called it My Soul. And I mean, in 5 years, the trick, look, what he's done very clever is he's got all the old DJs. And there's, I mean, Paul Trouble Anderson, they're all legends, you know, and they know what they do. Calvin Francis, Choice FM, he's picked the best of the best. And 23,000, like in 5 years now, 23,000 people are part of the fan base. I think it's 50,000, 40,000 listeners a week on digital radio, 50,000 on the internet. I mean, we've sold 1,400 tickets in 2 weeks from Ministry of Sound.
Wow.
And the average age is 45. The average age of the listener is 45.
These are real house heads.
Yes.
Dude.
Yes. You can't fool them. You can't get them.
Yeah.
And is the station playing a lot of mix shows or individual shows? So it's all mix shows?
Yeah, no, it's basically from 6 in the morning until 7 at night. It's playlist, but it's not a playlist like all them sanitised stations. It's black soul music. It's urban. It's like fresh. Spen, you know, Louis Vega. It's on the money. And then at 7 o'clock, then they have specialist shows, like I do 9 till 11 on a Saturday night. I do uplifting soulful house. Then you'll have Jumping Jack Frost, who's legendary in drum and bass. Jazzy B, Soul to Soul. You know, it's a quality station.
Nice.
That's great. So, Mike, last time you were on the show, you were just getting back into things, and a lot of stuff has happened since you've been here. Let's talk about some of the things. You got some records that came out, some remixes that you've done.
Yeah, I got a few remixes for Brian. There's an upcoming remix now for Kenny on Dope Wax coming out soon. There's hype on that as well. There's a bunch of stuff that's signed and is not released. I just signed a project with DJ Spen, and then him and I are collaborating on like we do have a track coming out that we collaborated on.
On the album.
On the album, and so you know that's one thing. And then what we've been working on all week, we had a vocalist, you know, last night at the house and at the studio, and you know, so there's just nonstop. And I mean, anybody that knows me, I go home and I work. When I leave, I go to work, but when I go home, it's my second job.
Yeah.
So music don't
Yeah,
stop.
I see
You're
that you're
putting
constant-
time into
Yeah,
this.
I'm putting it in. Well, you know
constantly
what?
working, man.
When you reap, you know, when you want to reap the benefits of it all, and you know what? It ain't all about the glamour and the glory and all that. It's about the music for me. It's always been.
Yeah.
But you know, if you can touch people, and it's hard to touch people here in New York. I'd love to touch people here in New York, but you know, it's just hard to go somewhere and get into the vibe that we know how to get into. It's a hard
There's
thing to find.
very few places in New York
Yeah.
that have that feeling.
Yeah.
You walk
Can I
into
just
it.
ask, why is that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't.
It's, you know
call
what?
it.
It's not the culture anymore.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The culture's changed, and really, nobody's introducing it again. I
Well,
mean,
Well, the nightlife is about money.
It's
you know,
money,
It's
yeah.
about
Yeah.
real estate. You know, like it's
yeah,
so expensive to have a
It's
nightclub
corporate.
in New York
Yep.
City.
Yep.
Yep.
You're paying hundreds of $1,000s a month.
Yeah, yeah.
so the
and
people that are going to these places are
people spending bottles and stuff like that.
But I mean, we talk about this a lot on the show too. I mean, there is a Brooklyn scene.
I was there Friday night.
Yeah.
It was wicked.
And we went to see
Yeah, Kenny.
Todd and Kenny, but Todd
Yeah.
came by as well.
Where were they playing?
We were at House of Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
crazy.
Ooh.
Analog.
Yeah.
Yeah, output.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So
those
those-
are
There's some
places.
spots.
Yeah.
Yep.
And of
Yeah.
course, Louis with Cielo, you know, like
Yeah.
he's probably the closest thing of the thing that I would get involved in, like something like that, because
Yeah.
he's playing what he wants and, you know, the type of music that he wants. You know, and then, you know, when they go out, they have to play differently. Even when they go to Europe, they have to play a bit differently. But, you know, like when I went over there, I was blown away because there were so many people that were in tune with the music. And he told me, the first thing he told me is like, you can't fool these people. You know, they know their music. So, you know, it was.
This is where in Ibiza.
This was in Ibiza. I was
Yeah.
like blown away. It was
Just
nice.
but basically, the London club scene, it's down music people. You know, they've been doing it for 25 years. And
Yeah. And not to cut you off, but just going back to Ibiza real quick, is the scene getting a little diluted out there? Because there was talks about how it was getting very, not
Well,
commercialized, but
there's some hidden gems in Ibiza, right? The parties, there's some hidden parties that's
Listen, I went to, I was there. I got to Ibiza on Tuesday. I played Tuesday. Wednesday I was off. Well, Wednesday Kenny and Louis played at DC-10 over there. And I know it's Masters at Work and, you know, wherever they go. But they had 4,000 people in this place in Ibiza, and it was after the season.
yeah.
Season was over.
Right.
So, you know, usually you go to Ibiza when it's peak time and you can't even walk in the streets over there. There was hardly anybody over there, but there were 4,000 people at this place. So I don't know if it's dying out.
were singing and
it's
dancing,
crazy.
going
It's
crazy,
still
right?
crazy. And then they did Glitter Box that Friday, but we were playing, and it was, you know,
4,500.
it was ridiculous. It was crazy. So there's still a scene.
So you have an album coming out? Is that what he's working on? Remixes for your album?
yeah,
So what's the name of the album? When is it dropping?
right. So basically, the album's called Brian Power Presents Soul House Music Volume 1, and there's 8 tracks that I've already released, and then there's 3 that are new, and one of them is one of the tracks I've done with Michael. It's coming out in February, and I'm very fortunate that I've worked with some lovely people. Worked with Spen, Richard Earnshaw, worked with Mikey, so I'm getting a lot of love. I'm getting a lot of love for the work.
Nice.
so getting into, you know, started DJing and producing, you said like 4 or 5 years ago. Is it something that you always wanted to try and do at some point in your life, or?
Well, again, it's ironic that we have this interview, and I was talking to this lovely man, Rick, today, who's 70 years of age, who's been all around the block, and he just touched on things, and it was, what happened was my son got into some money troubles, and he had some decks, and he was going to sell them. So I bought them off of him so that he wouldn't sell them, and obviously if he sorts himself out, give them back.
Right.
And decks are sitting upstairs in the loft, and the wife said, why don't you go and buy some records, because you love music. So I went to the record shop, bought a couple of records, started messing around with it. And then one of my wife's friends asked me to go and play at a little gig in Brick Lane. And there was about 40 or 50, little place like this, which was lovely, 40, 50 people. And there was 3 of us doing it, one's experienced and 2 inexperienced, and I was the first one. I just started playing the records, and after an hour, I went to go off and I got a standing ovation. I'm not joking. And then the next DJ went to me, look, I can't match that, mate. He went, carry on. So I just carried on, and I just knew. It was just like, I've come home. So then I went to a record shop, got a DJ, I paid him to teach me how to learn how to mix, and it just all evolved from there.
That is an amazing story.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just a prime example that it's never too late to get into something that you truly love.
Well, there's 3 other people now that have took it up because of me and are DJing. So I'm not,
You're
you
an
know.
inspiration.
Yeah, and it's lovely to see. It's really, really lovely to
Of
be a
course
part of
it
that.
is. But it's also, you know, when you're true to your heart with your passion, and I think music is just, you know, it's the bridge to everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Well, it's a feeling, isn't it? It's
yes,
a feeling.
it really is.
There's nothing like we yesterday when we was working, and then you hit something, and you just like, you just jump, and it's like you can't, like, you know. There's no drug. There's nothing better than
Nothing.
that than when you get it right.
You're right.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's the truth.
Well, look, we're happy to have you here.
Thank
man.
you.
Thanks for stopping by when you
Sure.
when you were in town. We're gonna get ready to do this, right?
Let's go.
All right, we're going to take a 2-minute break. We're going to get them up on the decks. Peace.